Living food, so amazing. Eat life. Hi guys, so today we're going to talk about antibiotic reactions, yeast overgrowth, and how to deal with it. Healing crisis. So what had happened was that I got a terrible rash on my face that my whole face blew out. It's still stinging a bit now because I am dealing with stuff in my gut. And over the years, I have taken antibiotics. I did in the past. I haven't recently. Probably the last time I took some was 10 years ago. And but taking the antibiotics over the course of my life has caused certain bad things in my stomach to begin to dominate and even spread. So, which is why I'm always doing the coffee and all that sort of thing. So my face just straight blew out. So I put makeup on to cover it up because, I have to be presentable on camera. But this is what it looked like. And this is what my skin looked like before, just like 6 months before. So you see it's like dewy and smooth and wrinkle-free. I was on a walk and I was getting delirious. I was hallucinating a little bit. And a friend was with me from church and she came over to my place and she prayed with me. And it calmed down a bit. I was doing a keto diet. I wasn't really having any trouble with it. I think I was on it for about a month. With Gerson, you're kind of on keto in a way because even though you're having a lot of fruits and vegetables, your body is in a state of ketosis, which is part of the disease healing state that you go into on Gerson. So doing a ketogenic diet is another way over to that. So I was trying the ketogenic. Initially, I was having a little bit of red around my eyes. I just thought, and I was checking my acidity levels and my keto levels and all that sort of thing, pH levels. My naturopath had just asked me because, I'm always doing all this detoxification stuff. So he asked me to run some tests, just all the full range of tests, and my doctor agreed to do it. He called me and he said, well, your tests have come back with low B12. Now, meantime, I had gone to see my doctor. And she said, oh, you've got a bladder infection. And I'm like, I haven't had a bladder infection for 10 years or something like that. So she was like, you got to take antibiotics. So I was like, oh, okay. Now I was really working hard and I was a bit run down. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm not going to get off this work treadmill. So maybe I better take these antibiotics and I'll come off the keto diet. So I don't blame the keto diet because I've been on it for so long, although you can get rashes from keto. But I took the antibiotic and after I did my course. And I took about maybe 20 billion probiotics with it, not simultaneously, but at night or in the morning. And then I would take the antibiotic later, several hours later. It was the most full-blown, this rash, when I finished the course of antibiotics. It went poof. So that's what my skin looked like right after the antibiotics. This is 3 days after. And this is what my skin looked like 6 months before. I had some B12 left, so I started that, and that helped me a little bit. But yeah, I just prayed all night long because I'm I work in an industry where how you look is important. So but not only that, it was the discomfort and the rash. And so I wound up on set the next day at work, and I had been taking some probiotics, but then I saw this friend of mine, this work friend of mine, and I remembered immediately. I was like, oh, my prayer's been answered. She had this same blowout inflammation on her face. And she showed me pictures of it before, and she showed me again. She said, you've got to take 100 billion probiotics. You've got to take 100 billion today, and then you go all the way up 100 billion more each day until you get diarrhea. And then you decrease by 1. So my gut bacteria had been depleted, and the critter in my stomach was like totally dominating. And I had this terrible inflammation. And within 2 days, my skin was clear again. Like it's still dominating, but what I used was, I'll show you some of the things I used. I had this wonderful makeup artist on set. So, rash and inflammation. It feels really nice. It does? Like, and of course I love the smell, but it's like really cooling.
Yeah.
Well, I have to get the brand.
Yeah, it's a really good brand. I'll put you in touch with Joanne.
Yeah, it feels so good. You're an angel. I won't show you. I'll just show your lip.
It's just my lip.
Yeah, I'll show you some. So here's some of the things I used. I actually used Glaxol Base, which I had used since I was a kid for rashes and stuff, and it really worked. And I used aloe vera gel. I used clay, bentonite clay on my face, and I took bentonite clay internally, but sometimes it can kill off the good bacteria, so you have to be careful. So bentonite clay and psyllium husk. I used frankincense oil on my skin, some essential oils, very oxygenating ones. But anyway, yeah, it's just amazing how my skin has come back. Like, you know, I don't have perfect skin, so my skin looks pretty good for my age, but you can still see there's a bit of red there. And I can still get it around here. My skin is very dry still. Like, it's crepey. It's still kind of thick and crepey. Normally it would be a little bit more smooth and plump, like moisturized. And I did a special cactus juice as well, which is a separate video. And I'll just put a card to it at the end of this so that you can, and maybe a link below, so that you can look at that video. If I could suggest anything, it would be, I would do parasite cleanses. Like, I would do the Hulda Clark cleanse, you know, with wormwood, black walnut, and clove. Also, Gerson. Make sure that your vitamin B is not low. I am so grateful that my naturopath contacted me right after I got my test done, because I went and saw the doctor. They didn't say anything about low B12, and he had just called me a couple of days before I went to see the doctor and said, you have low B12. So I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to get some B12 or something like that. But I didn't think it was a huge priority until the face started blowing up. I took probiotics, and I just opened up the capsules and put them into my smoothie. And then I also they have a really hard capsule, which digests when it finally gets into your small intestine. And I superdosed on vitamin D3, like 5,000 IU a day. And this is now 2 weeks later, and I took a day off the probiotics because I couldn't get to the store between work to get some more. And see, I had this come out. I found a study online, and I'll put some of the references to it below, that talked about how it can take anywhere from, it takes more than 8 weeks, even 10 months to replenish your gut bacteria. And the biodiversity of them is generally not the same after you take antibiotics. So your ability to digest and so on is inhibited. But I think also the problem is that the bad bacteria is strengthened and gets a stronghold in you, or bad parasites or whatever. So yeah, there's all kinds of things I've been taking, the smoothie, and then the cactus juices and stuff. Yeah, so there's a Dr. Marco Reggio who talks about the human microbiome, how it affects the mind, the gut, everything. You can have less of a brain and extremely healthy gut bacteria and be better off in some cases. One of the things the antibiotics affect as well is that once your gut bacteria is altered, It affects your moods, your mind, your thinking. Antibiotics can be linked to ADHD or ADD, and that's because your stomach and the place between your stomach and your brain are considered your second and your third brain. That's where we get the notion of a gut instinct from. And of course, I knew all this, but yet I still tempted fate. We are given knowledge, but only the wise use it. So I was not so wise. So please learn from my mistake. But yeah, so thoughts, moods, all of that is affected by your gut bacteria because it extends. The lymphatic system, which the gut is 80% of, extends into your brain. It's so important to keep your body clean and pure. So if you want to find out more about the human microbiome and the third brain, unlocking the immune system, then just go to livelightwell.com. They say that you should take probiotics just before your meal or 30 minutes before your meal, and you should take them 2 hours after you take your antibiotics. Anyway, I'll put more links below. So probiotics that you can take that are natural include kombucha, sauerkraut, pickled vegetables, but no vinegar pickling, only salt pickled, natural. Yogurt, kimchi, dark chocolate, kefir, organic miso only. And the probiotics represent probably about 1,000 separate bacteria that live in your gut, 10 times the number of cells that are in your body. In addition to taking probiotics, it's really important to take prebiotics as well. Probiotics eat prebiotics. So prebiotics are really just plants that act like a fertilizer to good bacteria or microflora, and the prebiotics can double probiotics in number as often as every 10 minutes. So some good examples of prebiotics are coconut fiber, asparagus, yams, leeks, garlic, onions, radishes, chia seeds, Jerusalem artichokes, nutritional yeast, and acacia tree fiber. There's also grain prebiotics like rye bread, quinoa, barley, and oats. And so in the Gerson diet, there's a lot of these things, especially leeks, garlic, and onions, just repeated every day, a lot of fiber. And I think it's because he really realized the importance of the balance of the microflora in the gut and the intestines. So oats is also part of the Gerson therapy, but if you have gluten issues with oats or barley, then you can always take the quinoa, which most people can handle very easly. Rye bread is another great thing to take. I take that, and I use a German rye bread called Mesemacher. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's organic, it's non-GMO. I'll put a link for it at the bottom, but I usually have it with garlic and a tiny bit of avocado on top. Avocado is kind of oily, so it's not the best on Gerson, but it's fantastic. I always notice a positive response with my gut. I have a really consistent, healthy gut, I find, when I do rye bread with garlic. So that kind of speaks to the ways that you can mix probiotics and prebiotics together simultaneously. And there's a lot of other ways that you can do that so that they're really prepped and multiplied. What I do with the pill form probiotics is that I will throw them into yogurt or kefir, or if you're lactose free, coconut milk and pulp, and throw some chia seeds in there so they've got lots to eat. And then I stick them in the fridge overnight, and then I wake up in the morning and I make my smoothie, and I don't whip it around too much. But there's more ingredients in the smoothie. For example, the moringa that is anti-parasitic as well. That I would throw moringa into my smoothie, and sometimes I'll put it into the cactus juice as well. I also put diatomaceous earth in my smoothies. That helps fight parasites. But another thing you can do regarding prebiotics and probiotics is what the Europeans do, and that's mixing granola with yogurt, or you could have quinoa with yogurt, or if you don't want to have oatmeal porridge, you could have quinoa porridge with apples in it. You can have raw garlic with a bit of avocado on rye bread with sauerkraut on top. So then you've got the prebiotics and the probiotics. You could have a kimchi in a salad with sauerkraut and steamed or roasted leeks and garlic. And what I often do is I'll roast Jerusalem artichokes, and so they're often part of my salads. As well, you've seen me do asparagus as part of my salads. So again, it's combining prebiotics with probiotics in your meal, and that really helps to replenish the gut. Of course, I'm going to have to be on these 100 billion probiotics for probably a year. And I'm also going to supplement it with making my own sauerkraut and, of course, kombucha. I actually went to work and one of the people on the trucks, the food trucks, had homemade kombucha, so I had some of that. So I'm just going to do everything I can to replenish the gut and balance my alkalinity, and we'll see how it goes. I'll update you. But anyway, I'm glad that there's these natural solutions that we can run to, and they were just common solutions in the past. I really think beer was probably not beer in the beginning. I know there was mead, but kombucha tastes very much like beer. But very low alcoholic beer. And so I think it was something that people used to restore their strength in the past. So there's so much that can be done. So again, the studies that I saw, I will link to below, and I will have some cards up so that you can watch the videos on the cactus juices. There's a Gerson cactus juice mashup. There's cactus juice. So those are some of the videos that I'll have up. The cactus juice is definitely up. The avocado dressing with pre and probiotic salad is also up. And then there's a smoothie. Smoothie and the cactus mashup should be up soon. Thanks for watching.
Eat well, eat life.